Okay. I think we got it. Okay, can anybody hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I'll start over from the beginning. Now we're at 11:05, question and answer period. Once again, I hope everybody's safe and healthy out there. Contact with your family, friends, and neighbors during this time, and support our local businesses, please. This is being recorded. Danae is here with our city clerks to help with the chats, and we'll just kind of work it that way. Remember, when you're doing a chat, give us your name so we know who's talking. If everybody would mute their mics, looks like everybody has. That's great. That way we don't get feedback. Once again, City Hall is open. The construction has been finished in the clerk's area, so they're a little protected back there, and that is completed. So you are welcome to come into City Hall, but we still ask you to please, if you're just dropping off a payment, use the drop box on the very far west door. I'll let you know that yesterday we filed our FEMA claim for the city of Red Lodge, and we're looking for reimbursement of probably about $80,000 for this COVID relief part. Once again, they're doing testing up at the high school today, and free to go up there. It's going to give us a really good idea, snapshot of how the city of Red Lodge and the county is doing on COVID-19. I got a report this morning. It's been very busy up there, and that's a good thing. Update on some of the events. The rally has been approved by the county to have the rally. There's still a lot more that they need to do also. And the farmers market has been approved by the county also. Last night we had a parade committee meeting, discussed they've been approved also, but there's more work that needs to be done about social distancing and just exactly how it's going to go and what the route is and who's going to direct traffic. There's a lot more work that needs to be done before that event can take place. We have a work session coming up on the 23rd of this month. That will start at 6 p.m. That will be a 2-hour session. Once again, court is in session, and that's been working out good. They're following all the state things that they need to hold court like that. Once again, we're planning on having a budget meeting in July. That will be open to the public. We're still waiting for some more numbers to come in after this last round of property tax collection, and then we'll be able to hold that. The resort tax ordinance passed first reading and public hearing on Tuesday, and we'll have another reading at the end of done, then we'll be able to move forward on collecting the new taxes that were located by the people of Red Lodge. Moving on to the police department, as I reported back to you last Friday, that the police department is using ICAPOL as a national organization enforcement policy and training, and we're also putting our policies on there also. The officers, every time they come in, they'll be notified on their computer that they need to do a certain course on the Lexipol, and they do that, and then it is trackable. Let's see what else we got. We had some things come up during the council meeting. The questions from people want you to know that all of our officers wear body cameras. All of our vehicles are equipped with 3 cameras in them. The lights are turned on to do a traffic stop or to go to a call. The camera is backed up 30 seconds, and then the whole thing is videoed with audio. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we have going for that. I guess it's time for questions and answers. I remind you that this is being recorded.
Mayor Larson, I wanted to ask, this is Jael Cannon, and I'd like to ask some follow-up questions from some of the past public comments, either here in this format or at the City Council from Tuesday night. In my formal complaint that I filed on June 1st, I shared that the chief of police stated on his phone call to me that part of the purpose of him calling was to defend Officer Stuber, and then he proceeded to defend the content of the meme. And knowing that we need to have an impartial investigation, and that it's really critical that those involved aren't going in with a bias. What steps are you taking to ensure public trust is upheld and that the chief is not involved in his subordinates' investigation due to publicly documented bias?
That's part of my investigation against the chief, and on that, I have 2 different sides. I have your statement, and then I have Chief Wells' statement. When I received your complaint originally, I gave, well, your phone call actually, or email, I gave that to Chief Wells to address, being that we had just found out the Monday beforehand about the meme, and that conversation is he said, she said. I don't know that he was defending that first side of the story. And,
he actually made the statement, Mayor Wells, that was actually a quote, a direct quote. "I'm calling to defend my officer."
Okay. That's not what I got in his statement, and so there I am with 2 sides of the story. That investigation has been completed. Everybody that put a discipline or complaint against Chief Wells will be receiving the results that I can give you in the mail. That was sent out yesterday, and that is where that is going. I just received the investigation of the officer in question, and that is pretty following MMI's suggestions and keeping everybody's rights, making sure that their rights are not honored. It was a great opportunity to review our policies and procedures. In fact, we were talking earlier here, it's really giving us a chance to review those and take a lot of notes. And thank you all for your suggestions too. And I know, JL, you sent me a lot of articles. I've read through these, some ACLU, the Montana Mediators Association, those. I've looked at all those. It's quite good, and I think we have some things that we can improve on, thanks to everybody out there that's sent us those types of things. I'll let you know that ATSME is going to come here and give all the employees of the city a social media class. She will be coming down as soon as ASME allows them to travel again. We're hoping maybe in the next couple of weeks we can get that going. And we're also looking at other areas where we can get more training.
Just to do a follow-up from that, and thank you, Mayor, the specifics, specifically on the social media training, that's appreciated. The review of policy and procedures is appreciated, and we look forward to how that'll lead to some transparency improvements, which is great. However, I want to go back and do a follow-up on my original question. Is in a case where the chief's impartiality is in question, is there a reason why you can't share what his involvement is or was in the in Officer Stuber's investigation, because it's now publicly questionable? Even his role was.
I understand what you're saying there, Joe. I will tell you that Chief Wells did not do the investigation. That was done internally, and it was, like I say, it's about an inch thick, so it looks very detailed. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Chief Wells has reviewed it, and I have a statement, a review from the investigating officer and from him, and I will be reading through that and making sure that that's done right. I think
So
that's
when you say that it was done internally, that means that a peer officer did the investigation. That means?
yes.
Is there a reason you wouldn't have gone externally? What dictates in terms of external resources, just from a process standpoint?
Our policy dictates that.
I see.
Maybe just clarify that. Final.
But Nate is helping me here. She's very good in some of our HR. She reminds me that this is my final decision on that investigation. This is a disciplinary action that be taken. I'm impartial, so I hope that that eases your mind of ways Like I said, it is policy. We can't change the policy in midstream here, so we're working the best with what we have to work with right now, and we will do the best and most legal job. How are we doing on chats?
So I just received one from Stephanie Maxwell, and she's, I'd like to see police reform on the agenda for next meeting. Need to be taken to get agenda on the agenda. Can we commit to the request added for the next meeting?
So I guess I need more for you on exactly what you want on there. Normally, is a county council or ordinance or I would suggest you get a to carry that forward.
Agenda battles. Just commented, when will the draft budget be available publicly at the budget meeting in July? Will the department communications and annual reports be included with the budget so that the public will be able to engage in the July meeting?
The draft budget, I'll make sure that that gets on our website next week.
I just received reports from the county for final May, which is not needed. And so I would imagine we should get that and we'll receive it in probably by the next week. Unless, unless we don't get it in the mail, there's not much more that we do. But I would say that as long as we get it, I get it received right away. And have it on the website.
Let's make sure the draft budget that we've been working on, let's make sure that we get it on
Okay.
anyway, and then we can update it with you. So Jennifer, we'll make sure that that draft budget is on our site. And I know that the council people, at least one council person's been working with the department to get the presentation ready. I strongly advise that the other council get with their department heads and do the same with Mr. to get that presentation.
However, available, you need to add that.
Not necessarily, I need something to add is what I need. I need a plan. That's where your council people come in.
In other words, you have to say it on the. And already Elliot says, some of us would like to hear your response to the plan for the council and chief's response to the request I submitted to the council meeting on Tuesday. Can you clarify that a little bit for us?
Yes, I submitted a written request that basically explains what it would be to give the community apology for Al Stuber's for what Al Stuber it on Facebook, and that is had, and there were 5 items. I'm just wondering whether you had a chance to look at that and consider what you plan to do as far as the things that a group of us have said would help restore public trust or help build public trust given this breach.
I'm sure that I have looked at it. I'll make sure that I re-look at it. And once again, I need to look at the investigations, what the outcome of those are, and I will definitely do that.
So one item, to start with, it would be great to hear that you disavow the opinions that Al Stuber expressed.
I need to find out if legally that doesn't put the city in jeopardy as far as
Ellie would like
Okay.
the council member that works with the police department is Tom Lyman.
Mary Cameron asks, will the parade plan come before the governing body, city council, for approval, or will it be by authority of the executive?
It's by the authority of the executive. I'm truly willing to take any input that anybody has on the parade. Via email is just fine.
So JL commented, the public has asked for the greater accountability and assessment towards our local police department's ability to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion while growing awareness towards inherent power dynamics of police and police. How are you and the chief of police planning to assess our capacity to achieve DEI, especially as this nationally recognized shortcoming becomes more and more apparent?
And that we have just touched on that shortly. Like I say, our time has been consumed with the investigation and the investigations on my side of it. I have some general ideas. I will definitely meet with the police chief, and we will come up with some ideas where we do some community outreach and look at our policies and procedures.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie.
Mayor Larson, just as a follow-up to that, there's a lot of expertise locally on that issue, both in terms of assessment, DEI, and power dynamics. I'm specifically thinking of some of the great training that DSBS does professionally. They've really become sort of a national model beyond just sexual violence and abuse, really looking at power. John Poor and Rebecca Easter are also professionals that work a lot in that space, as do I, on a national level and international. I do this work with clients. Will there be, or how could you create some public forums so that some of our expertise locally could be leveraged to help support the conversation between you and the chief?
If you could email me those names and a reminder on that, And I'll definitely get with Kelly Heaton at the SBS, and the other names I'm not aware of them. But if you would send them either, I'm happy to touch base with them and see what could be set up.
Maybe some training on that too. Same with the social media, like social.
You know, the nice thing that, you know, we need to probably look at getting some of the diversity training in here, and we'll definitely look into that.
Mayor Larson, we've also, one of my other formal complaints was around transparency, trying to get some of the public documents more public, and it was just that people actually didn't have complaints. And so it's not that I need to have you verbally walk through in this small forum what it is. I think that what many of us are asking is a cornerstone of democracy is transparency and accountability, and it's a system. And we as citizens have a responsibility in our part of that system, but part of what we need from our government officials and our public servants is just easy access and clarity around process. That, and the three locations where that information should be stored would be on the website, so that anybody who's questioning wanting to interface with our public officials knows how to do so. Secondly, at City Hall themselves, where it's an easy form with clear instructions that also delineates what kind of outcome people can expect, like why to call versus send a letter versus send, notify your representative. And then the other location, of course, would be the library. And so what I'm actually asking is not what are those systems, but what is your commitment to actually updating the website and getting this process written up and into the public hands where, you know, I think that's very reasonable and actually would strengthen public trust.
Thank you for that, Jill. In fact, Danae is, she's the one that helps on the website. And I think you got those suggestions.
Yeah, our police department section of the website is very simplistic. Unfortunately, there's a lot of departments that have to be handled on the website. It's very time consuming, but I think it would be easy to add a small section under that part of the website. You know, if you have a complaint, click here for the complaint form, or this is the process on how you do it, and that way people will be able to find it easily.
And Danae, I wrote out what are all the documents that currently are missing, and that's in my formal complaint that I gave to the mayor. And so you know, if there's a commitment, and I thank you for that, Danae, I think what you've just outlined would be it would be received really well from the public. I think it would be greatly appreciated. But I think it's to my knowledge, it's the complaint form, the current police policies, having a link to that. There was a reference in the assessment from 2017, there was a reference to a strategic plan for 2017 to 20. And that document also would be just great to embed a link so that we always had access to the most current strategic plans, so that we knew, particularly around budgeting, what the priorities are from a strategic plan and how the budget supports achieving those goals. And it also sounded like Bill had distinguished between formal complaint process for the police department versus other departments differs. So as you mentioned, having it on the police department link would be really helpful so that we know specifically in that department what the protocol is. So thank you, that would be great. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up since it is 11:30. And also having to do with that question, Jill, is we are in the process of looking at a company to do our website. What we've been doing and what we have inherited here is a website that was put together by local people. And I think Danae, I have to say, Danae's done a fantastic job of trying to keep that updated. But it's almost come to the point now where we almost need a third party to do that for us. And it's like you bringing things up that you would like to see changed or needed up there. I think that's where we had a third party doing that. It would help out tremendously. So thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.